Hello guys, in today's class we'll be covering a few more HTML tags. We already saw how to write a sample HTML code in a previous lecture. So we'll build upon that and learn about a few more HTML tags in this lecture. So over here I've created a new folder called HTML inside the class folder which I showed you guys in the last class. Inside the HTML folder I've created a template.html file. So this piece of code is going to act as a template whenever we write a new HTML code so that we don't have to write it again and again from scratch. I'll create a new file. I'll click on Command N. If you're using Windows, then you'll have to click on Control N for the new file. So a new file has been created. I'll copy paste the code here. I'll save it using Command S. You guys can use Control S for if you're using Windows. So today we are going to create this entire web page which you are viewing right now by writing our own code. So I go back to over here and I write the name of the file as html_page.html and I save it. We go back and edit the title of the page in the code. We can put the title. I'll zoom in a little bit so that it's more clear to you guys. Yeah, I hope it's pretty clear now. So I'll edit the title of the page and I'll make it Web Development Lessons. I'll save it by pressing Command S. Again, it's Control S for you guys if you're using Windows. And I'll open this page on Google Chrome. There you go. So we have Web Development Lessons in the title written over here on this web page. Now we'll go ahead and use a new tag which is called as h1. Okay guys, so before we start writing the code now, I'll open the HTML tags page and first explain these tags to you. So in the last class, we went through HTML tag, head tag, title tag and body tag. So head tag, HTML tag, head tag and body tag is something which is present in all the web pages that you view on the internet. But these are some of the optional HTML tags which we use depending upon if we use it, if it's required or not on our web page. H tags, as the name mentioned. So guys, all of the HTML tags are actually very easy to understand from their name itself. H tags, which we are going to use right now, which is H1, are nothing but heading tags. And these come in 6 forms: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5 and H6, used for writing headings on page. What this means is that let's say if you're writing an essay, and the essay is what do I want to become when I grow old? So the heading of that essay is what do I want to become when I grow old? And it's the most important heading of your essay. So it is called as H1. Now let's suppose you want to add more subtitles on your essay. So you go ahead and add the first subtitle as what my teachers wanted me to become. That can be the first subtitle. The second subtitle can be what my parents wanted me to become. And the third subtitle can be what I really wanted to become. So these are not as important as the main heading of the essay, but these are still headings used inside your essay. So these are called as H2. Similarly, if you're using some heading inside your subtitles, that can become H3, H4, H5, H6, so on and so forth. I hope you understand it. Now, because the heading 1 is the most important heading on the page, it can only be, or it should only be, used once on the page. Other heading tags can be used multiple times, depending upon how many times they are required. So we'll go ahead and write H1 as Web Development Lessons because that is the heading of this page. Over here, as you can see, H1 and title is same. So in many cases, it can be same, but can be different as well. There's no hard and fast rule about it. Depending upon the kind of web page that you're designing, the requirement can differ. So we have added the H1 tag on our page. Now if we go back and refresh the page that we created, we can see that web development lessons have come up. Okay, so now we are going to see H2 tags into action. This is the H2 tag, as you can see over here. So we'll go ahead, we'll copy it so that we don't have to type it again. and we'll write a h2 tag. So it's done. I'll refresh the page and over here. So guys, as you can see, we have two heading tags on the page now. Web development lessons is the h1 tag and HTML topics to cover is the h2 tag. As you can see, h2 tag is a little bit smaller in size when compared to h1 tag. Why is it happening so can be a valid question. So to find that out, I'll click on inspect and I'll select this element. Now when you go ahead and see on the design side, h1 tag has some style associated with it. The font size is 2em, the display is block, etc, etc. The font weight is bold, so on and so forth. And when I click on h2, its font size is 1.5em. So that justifies why h2 is looking smaller than h1. When we are working on CSS in the next section, we'll learn to add our own custom style to these elements as we see fit or as we define it to look beautiful. So that will completely be controlled by the CSS that we write for the web page. For now, I'd like to explain you that browser has its own default style for certain HTML tags, and that is what is being applied to these HTML elements if we are not defining CSS from our side. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and see what are the tags we have to cover today. So there is one tag called as div tag. Div tag are used to create containers which separates content on your page. What does that mean? So div tag is actually a very important tag and you'll be often be using on your pages a lot if you're creating complex long web pages. To give you an example what it is actually about, I'll just search something on Google. I'll search HTML itself. And as you can see, different div is basically used to group elements on a web page. So as you can see, different search results over here can be a div tag. See, this is a group of one search result, group of one search result, so on, so forth. So all of this can be a div tag inside. Inside div tag, you can add multiple elements which will together form that particular group. I hope you get an idea of it. Even if you do not, then as we are going to use div tags a lot, especially when we are going to write CSS designs, you will get the hang of it. So for now, we'll assume that this section of our website is going to be a particular group because it contains one list. So we'll add it in a div element. Okay, so we have entered a div tag. I'll save it. Nothing will change on our web page because still we haven't entered any content inside the div tag. Okay, so now we have para tags. Para tags are basically used to write text or paragraphs. So I'll go ahead and write a p tag over here. Here is the list of HTML topics that we are going to cover. And I'll close the p tag. When I go and refresh it, you can see that this particular sentence has come over here. Okay, I'll add a colon as well. Yeah. I'll refresh it and the colon has appeared. So guys, this is how we use p tag on a page. P tag is only used for writing some text or paragraphs. As the p tag, as I told you earlier, all the HTML tags are quite literal in their meanings. P stands for paragraphs, and paragraphs, as we write in essays and letters as well, paragraphs is basically used to write a chunk of text. A tag is a very important tag which is used for creating links. Now as you can see, when I click on this particular link, this new page is opening up. This is what an A tag does. So I'll go ahead and create a A tag also. I'll go on the bottom, I'll exit the div tag and add a p tag over here, and I'll write to open a new page, please click here. So, and to do that, I'll have to mention a A tag. This is how A tag is opened and then A tag is closed. but to define what will happen on clicking a tag, we need to add an attribute. That attribute is called as href. So for a few HTML tags, you can mention the attribute as well. Attribute is basically extra information about that particular HTML tag that defines what should happen when a user takes some action on that HTML tag or when that HTML tag is loaded onto the web page. In case of a tag, href defines what link should open if the user is going to click on this text over here, which is wrapped inside the a tag. So I'll take the path of any file. For explanation purposes, I'll take the path of this file itself and I'll enter it over here. So as you can see, the entire path of that file has come over here. I'll go back. I'll click on refresh, and as you can see, to open a new page, please click here, text has come. I'll click on please click here, and this file has opened over here. I'll click on back button and I'll come back here. Now guys, there's one more attribute which is quite popularly used for a tag, which is target. If you don't mention a target attribute, by default, the page opens on the same tab. Same Google Chrome tab, the page is opening. But if I want to open the page on a new tab, then I will mention the target as underscore blank. I'll save it and then I'll open the page again. Now if I click here, a new tab is going to open. As you can see, a new tab with tags and table has opened over here. I hope this is clear to you now. So I'll go ahead and I'll see another tag which we have. BR. BR is used for adding a line break. So let's say if we refresh this page right now, there is certain space between both the P tags over here. But what if we want more space between them? Then we'll go there and write the BR tag after this P tag. Now guys, there's no content that is written in the BR tag. So we don't have to write open and close twice. We can just open the tag here and close in the same tag by giving a space and then writing / and closing the angle bracket. This is because no particular content has to be wrapped inside this HTML tag. So I'll click on refresh, and as you can see, the space has increased. And guys, one thing to note over here is that if you add blank spaces, blank enters in your code and you save it, then nothing is going to happen on your web page. The browser, when it is actually building a web page using the HTML code, it completely ignores the empty sentences. The user does not see that. So if you want to add blank spaces, you will have to use the BR tag. Okay. So moving on to the next tag, I'll use HR. HR is a line separator. It is used to add a line between elements. What if we want to have a line separator after our H2 tag? Maybe we want a line over here and then we start our paragraph elements. So we'll go to H2 after this. We'll add a HR tag and we'll close it here itself. Again, HR tag doesn't wrap any content inside it, so you can open and close in single tag over there itself. I'll refresh it, and as you can see, a line has come up. I'll zoom in a bit if you're unable to view it. So a line has come. Now going ahead. So we'll be using a span tag quite often, especially when we are designing it. Span is used to group a certain group of words. Now let's suppose we wanted to group HTML topics together, then we could wrap it inside a span tag, and HTML topics can be grouped inside a separate HTML tag. So they are both inside the P tag, but HTML topics have a separate span tag as well. Now what is span tag is used for will become quite more clear when we are covering the CSS section. So for now you can just assume that it is used to group a part of text as I showed already. So guys, this is the example of using a few HTML tags on this page as we have done over here. In the next lecture, we are going to cover about how to write comments, and then we'll deal with images, and then we'll create lists. When we are going to create lists, we are going to complete this web page and we are going to move forward. So see you in next lecture. where I'm going to tell you about how to write comments.